Alright, I'm feeling in the mood to talk about it. With Pokemon ZA next year, and as a Pokemon YouTuber, I am contractually obligated to talk about it. I don't make the rules. Megas have been confirmed to return. To be honest, I'm shocked. Although in hindsight, it should have been obvious. Mega Mewtwo is playable in Unite, last I checked, and Megas appear in Pokemon Masters all the time. They never truly forgot about Megas, as much as seemingly had them on the back burner so they could force us to use Gigantamax in Terra. Truthfully, this is fine. For Gen 9, where Terra is perfectly acceptable. Gigantamax, however, isn't real. So, with the potential for new Megas, at least that's what I'm hoping happens, we can talk about Luxray, because surely they'll give it a Mega that makes it OP the same way they did Mawile, right? Right? So first, we're gonna gloss over why Luxray is bad and needs a Mega for a truly significant buff. I say gloss over because I like to firmly believe we all know why it's bad. But for the few with hopeful eyes that can look at Luxray like it's anything more than a ZU Dex filler that's been outdone all its life by Morpeko of all things, allow me to explain everything wrong with Luxray and what makes it so bad. I also got this Luxray art from cuppaphee. Her links will be down below. But yeah, I did a video a few years back about the Mega evolutions I wanted for BDSP, and this was one of the designs. I figured I have some of these Mega arts still sitting around, so why let them go to waste? Being an electric-type physical attacker is a death sentence, unless your name is Zekrom or Iron Hands. Electric types don't get anything good for physical stab a lot of the time, with Wild Charge having recoil and Volt Tackle being exclusive. Some mons have had to settle for Thunder Fang and Thunder Punch for years, if not Wild Charge. Supercell Slam was a really nice way to fix this issue, but people don't use it because it's good. As a move that makes you take half for missing or crashing into Protect can hardly become such. People run it because it's the best they got. And even with it, outside of Iron Hands, the strongest physical electric we have is Iron Thorns, with everything else we have being NU or below, tiering-wise. With the complexities of how bad physical electric types are out of the way, we can now talk about the much simpler issue, being its stats are bad. Its attack is alright for today's standards, but it's incredibly frail with a nonsense 95 special attack that it is never making use of, and a 70 speed that wishes it was 95 like its special attack. Like, no, seriously, what are you doing with that special attack? Using Signal Beam, Snarl, and Mud Slap? Yeah, right. And for a Luxray speed comparison, to let you know how bad it has it, it shares its speed tier with Sinistcha, and is outsped by Froakie, Pidgeotto, and a speed-invested B-Barrel. You know you got it rough when a pre-unburdened Cupcake is beating you in a foot race. Being slow and frail is another death sentence, because that means you're dead before you get off a single move a lot of the time. Combine this with its strongest coverage option being Play Rough, and you've got issues. Ice Fang is nice and all, but it doesn't hit hard enough to really threaten a ground type. Weirdly, Rivalry has had its uses, and Guts and Intimidate are actually solid abilities. They just aren't really helping Luxray specifically. Guts Flame Orb is cool and all, but there are better users of it like Ursaluna and Swellow. And Intimidate would be nice if Luxray had the bulk to make use of it. They gave it good abilities, but no way to really take advantage of them. Okay, I'm now done explaining why it's bad, and this went on for a little longer than I expected. Let's buff it now. So, let's Mega Evolve Luxray right now. How could we start with the stat changes now that we have an additional 100 stats to work with to add on to its BST? Well, simply put, I think we deserve more to work with. So, I'm going to start by trying to min-max the hell out of this mod. That special attack of 95 with nothing but electric and normal special moves is a decision that was made by people who hate physical electric types. So the first thing I'm doing is lowering that special attack by 25 whole points. You're not trying to use Volt Switch on this Pokemon, so we can live without this. Now, we have an additional 125 stat points to use, and I want to use them well. By use them well, I mean first and foremost, I'm chucking 53 speed into it to give it 123 speed. Why exactly 123? Because I want to be faster than Greninja, Sneasler, and Tornadus Therian, and I want to be as petty as possible about it. This Pokemon should have been fast to begin with, and the fact that it wasn't was a crime in itself. Secondly, we have 72 stats to work with. I am not going to put them all in attack because that's absurd. 123 speed and 192 attack would be game breaking. And I know I said I'd min-max, but that's a little too crazy. Typically, with how Game Freak has designed its megas, very seldom do they make an absurdly powerful mega a little too fast, with the only real exceptions being like Alakazam, Gengar, and Salamence, who went a little overboard. So we're gonna try to keep our friend here somewhat balanced. And with the 72 points we have, we're gonna put 36 of it into attack. 156 attack is perfectly balanced for a Mega, making it slightly stronger than Mega Pinsir, but not stronger than, let's say, Mega Tyranitar. I did 36 also because I noticed that if I didn't, I have 37 left if I did 35 for attack, and I wouldn't be able to sleep with that. Next up, we now have 36 final stat points to work with, and I want to put 18 into each defense, giving it slightly more bulk to work with so it can take hits just a little better, especially when combined with Intimidate pre-Mega to give it some staying power while on the field. 96 in each defense stat with 80 HP and then a 156 attack and 123 speed actually feels maybe, just maybe, a little ridiculous. These stats are massive, so we're gonna have to be careful with its typing and ability. Speaking of typing, we all know that everyone wants Luxray to be part Dark type. It should have been Dark type, and the fact that it wasn't part Dark type is a sin that has plagued us for years, and it's so weird that this never got changed. With that said, I'm going to say that adding Dark to it, in terms of its viability, is a mixed bag. Dark is a great offensive type, able to deal with ghosts and psychics with ease, while adding resistance to ghost and psychic and a psychic immunity. But there's a downside to this. Adding Dark also gives you 3 additional weaknesses to Fighting, Fairy, and Bug. Fighting and Fairy are very common types, and U-turn is an incredibly common move. Do you really want to give first impression low kicks a chance to KO your Mega, so you'd gain some offensive potency in exchange for losing some defensive integrity? I think it's a mixed bag, and go ahead and add Dark to it if you want. I can live without it, but I highly doubt that me living without it is agreeable. And I'm fully understanding if people want it to be Dark just because it's fitting. I agree with that entirely. Personally, I think Mono Electric Mega Luxray might be weirdly more viable though, since amazing speed and attack with solid bulk and Intimidate pre-Mega, while only having 1 weakness, is something I imagine to be rather salivating for those of you who want to play physical electric type Pokemon. So I can do either or, and it doesn't change what I would want to do with its ability. What would I do for its ability? I'm gonna be straightforward when I say that this is probably the most simple thing I can do for it. I want to give it Strong Jaw or Tough Claws. Strong Jaw makes it to where your biting moves do an extra 50%, so I would much rather have it because that buffs Luxray's coverage options. The Elemental Fangs, Psychic Fang, and Crunch all become really nice to have on it, and it starts to hit really hard as a result, all without recoil from Wild Charge and Supercell Slam. And some of these have a chance to flinch or paralyze, which means you get to fish for luck while being faster than your opponent. So I think Strong Jaw is preferred. What's the argument for Tough Claws? You get a 30% boost to Supercell Slam, which means that it hits harder than Strong Jaw Luxray, but is less consistent. I just think Strong Jaw is better overall, and the Mega should have Strong Jaw. 30% more power on Body Slam and Trailblaze isn't worth losing out on 50% more power of your Ice Fang. And that's how I would buff it. Give it Strong Jaw, some buff to its attacks and speed with small increases to its bulk, while decreasing its needlessly high special attack. Whether or not we add the Dark type to it or not is entirely irrelevant to me. However, either way, it becomes better at one thing and worse at another. And that's just how Pokemon works. Thank you for turning into a Pokemon that needs a Mega. And if you want more of this series, make sure to like the video and share this around. It really lets me know that you guys want me to keep this going. But anyways, I'll see you guys soon.